Hello, everyone. I'll just be mindful of everyone's time, so we will get started right away. If anyone joins late, they're just welcome to join in where we are, and a recording will be sent at the end of the presentation as well. No need to take notes, and there will be a PDF and the recording sent after our presentation. All right. So thank you all for joining me today for our webinar on stress. My name is Chanelle. I am one of the registered nutritionists here at VitaminLab. I'm going to take you through a topic today that is very familiar to many of us. Some of us may be even too familiar. So for stress, many of us have coping mechanisms for stress, but we don't always apply the techniques to reduce stress. So today I'm going to take you through the physiological responses to stress, how chronic stress affects all systems of the body, and the best way to support stress naturally through supplementation. There will be some time at the end for questions, but if anything comes up along the way, feel free to pop it in the question and answer box, and I will do my best to answer those as we go. There's also an emoji button, so if you learn something new or something excites you, feel free to give me a thumbs up or a smiley face and let me know. So just as a reminder, the statements made in today's presentation and the respective products are not intended to diagnose, treat, heal, or cure any disease or condition. And then not every supplement is intended for every body, so it is important that you discuss with your healthcare professional for more individualized recommendations. All right, so stress has many ways that it can present itself, and each individual experiences stress so differently. So for some, stress can look like trouble sleeping or insomnia, whereas for others, they may feel like they're sleeping more often. Appetites are affected kind of in the same way. Some of us may overeat while some undereat. Stress can present itself physically with headaches and other muscle aches. Teeth grinding and jaw clenching is another way that we can experience that. So in times of stress, our sexual arousal may plummet and our immune system's at its weakest. This leaves us with much more frequent colds and flus, and the time it takes to actually get rid of that infection is a lot longer. And then the way that we behave when we're stressed is also different person to person. So I'm sure we all know someone who yells and screams when they're stressed, and then somebody else who maybe breaks down in tears. These are all normal reactions to stress and differ from person to person. I am going to pop up a little question if you're comfortable with sharing, just ways that maybe stress presents itself in you. Just a moment here. There we go. And I'll leave that up for a moment for you to answer that one. Awesome. So a lot of people see their mood change when stressed, very common, myself included. Yeah, and lots of sleep and appetite affected. Okay, so what really is stress? Okay, so I want you all to picture this scenario. So you're fast asleep in your bed and your smoke alarm goes off. But before you can even make sense of what's going on, your body starts to react. So your heart starts racing, you get all sweaty, your breathing gets deeper, you are stressed. This is not the I have a deadline to meet type stressed, but your body is perceiving this as I might die right now type stressed. So your body is in what we call fight or flight. This is the physiological response to a stressor that either helps us fight or flee. So stress unfortunately gets a really bad rap, and not all stress is bad. So this is what helps us slam on the brakes if a car swerves out in front of us or jump and run out of the burning building. The stress response is really crucial to our survival. So the part of your body that controls your stress response is your nervous system. So your nervous system has two parts, the central and the peripheral nervous system. And today we're going to focus on the peripheral system. So within that system, you will find your autonomic nervous system. So this controls the involuntary physiological processes like your heart rate, your digestion, blood pressure, breathing rate. And then within that system, you'll find a sympathetic and a parasympathetic system. So your sympathetic nervous system takes over in the time of stress, and it does this by focusing on the right now. It shunts energy away from areas that aren't necessary to help the fight and brings energy towards areas that are. So you have glands above your kidneys, and these are called your adrenal glands. These release chemicals like cortisol and epinephrine, or what we know as adrenaline, to help us move that energy away from the areas that don't help with the fight and again towards the areas that do. So our body releases glucose into the bloodstream to fuel the energy that we need, into the muscles to maybe help us run faster, and then energy to the heart to get our blood pumping. Our bodies don't need to be worrying about digesting a meal or fighting off a cold, so these ones take a backseat. So in times of acute stress, like slamming on the brakes of your car or jumping out of the building, running out of the building, the human body is really good at returning to homeostasis or that neutral state. So this is the job of the parasympathetic system. This is to relax and de-stress by lowering your heart rate, slowing your breathing, and redirecting energy back to those areas that were pushed aside. So what exactly is the problem? If stress is so crucial to our survival, why do we talk about it all the time? The problem lies in that we experience stress much more frequently, and our stress response is almost always activated. Stress is such a common thing that we don't even realize we're experiencing it. So from the moment our alarm goes off in the morning to the rushing around getting ready for work, your kid tells you they forgot to finish their school project, you're in a traffic jam on your way to work. As soon as you do get to work, your boss is giving you some unrealistic deadline, the AC in the office is broken, the printer is out of ink. Talk about stressed. So when we experience chronic stress, the body never really has time to go back to neutral. And so most of our other body systems are chronically affected by this constant release of hormones. I'm going to take you through some of the systems of our body that will see this chronic effect take its toll. So first we have our cardiovascular system. So with chronic stress, we see a constant elevated heart rate, increased blood pressure, and then a higher cholesterol as a result of chronic stress. So there was a study in 2017 that looked at 90,000 people in a variety of different careers over a 5-year period. They did this to see the effects of psychological stress on lipid profiles and overall cholesterol levels. So what they found is that psychological stresses like social or family stress or workplace stress had a direct correlation with increased LDL cholesterol and decreased HDL cholesterol. We can also see increased inflammation in the body and the circulatory system, which increases the risk for hypertension, heart attack, and stroke, all as a result from stress. So in women, this reaction is a little bit different due to the presence of estrogen. Premenopausal women have higher estrogen levels, which act as a bit of a buffer and help the blood vessels respond appropriately to stress. Whereas with postmenopause comes that reduction in estrogen, putting them at the same level of risk as men. So our gastrointestinal or digestive system is often affected as well. I'm sure we've all had a stomach ache or that knot in your stomach when you're stressed or nervous. This is because there's a strong gut-brain connection. So when something's felt in the brain, it's often felt in the gut as well. So with energy being shoved away from the GI system to deal with that stressor, proper digestion is inhibited. So this can result in a change in our stomach acid, which can cause those symptoms like gas and bloating and acid reflux. So a way that we can experience this almost every day is either eating on the go or eating while watching TV. So our sympathetic nervous system is activated during these times, and our body is perceiving these activities as stress. So our digestive system is not working optimally during these times. So when energy is diverted away from the digestive system, low stomach acid can hinder our ability to extract the nutrients from food and absorb them properly. This is especially important for those nutrients that are absorbed in the gut. This would be your iron, your calcium, and your B12. So just a little side note, B12 and calcium deficiencies can be a cause for early graying. Some people are saying that stress is giving them gray hair. This may be something to look at. So stress can also deplete our gut's good bacteria. So when we don't have the right balance of bacteria in the gut, our bodies tend to crave the foods that feed that bad bacteria, and in a result, give us that boost of energy. So foods like refined carbohydrates, candies, and chocolates, these are often the culprits and the foods that we crave. Because that boost of energy only lasts for a short while, we do tend to eat more of them, which of course can lead to weight gain and continued cravings. So probiotics can be really beneficial here in rebalancing that gut bacteria in favor of the good bacteria. So with stress affecting our digestive system, it also affects our mood. So 95% of serotonin is made in the gut. So if stress depletes our good gut bacteria, we're unable to make this happy hormone, which leads to those feelings of depression and anxiety. So as we know, stress changes our hormone levels. Our bodies are releasing that cortisol and epinephrine, and with that comes changes in other hormones. So with elevated cortisol comes a reduction in testosterone levels. So this is present in both males and females. Testosterone is what helps our bodies expend calories, burn fat, and increase muscle mass. So when these levels are down, weight gain is more prominent, especially around the middle, which can increase our risks of cardiovascular disease. Our reproductive system is also affected here. So again, that increase in cortisol affects both estrogen and testosterone levels, which can affect our sex drive, menstruation, and fertility. And then finally, our skin can be affected as well. I'm sure we've all had a pimple suddenly appear the day we're meant to give a huge presentation. But chronic stress can also lead to regular skin problems. So cortisol causes an increased oil production in your skin glands, which can lead to clogged pores and breakouts. And then, of course, stress can affect our sleep and energy. So stress taxes your adrenal glands. Again, those are above your kidneys where that cortisol is coming from, which impacts your sleep and then your next day energy. So when you're not getting enough sleep per night, you're in what's called sleep debt. And this is that you owe your body rest. So sleep debt can occur as the trouble of falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, or just lack of restorative sleep. This is what we call REM sleep. This is because when cortisol is high, adrenaline is high, and who can fall asleep with an elevated heart rate? So this, of course, like I said, affects your energy the next day. I'm sure we've all experienced a bad night's sleep and how moody we may feel the next day too. And then finally, of course, our immune system. Our sympathetic nervous system is not seeing this as priority, so energy gets diverted away from here. We're more susceptible to sickness, and then the time it takes our body to fight off an infection is increased. So we all have coping mechanisms for stress. I'm going to put up a little question here, a poll here, just to see some ways that maybe some of you may cope with stress. I'll give you a minute to fill that one in. A lot of exercise, lots of caffeine and alcohol. Yeah, and then lots of like getting outside, time with friends and family. That's great. Lots of good coping mechanisms there. So like I said, we all have those coping mechanisms, but we don't always look at ways to reduce the stress. So some of these ways can be following a healthy diet to get the nutrients that we need, getting into a routine. So maybe this looks like waking up a little bit earlier in the morning, reading a few pages of your book, or taking your supplements while your kettle boils in the morning. We can also reduce our stimulant intake. So maybe swapping your morning coffee for a herbal tea. And then spending some time outside is really important as well. So even just 10 minutes a day can improve your psychological and physiological markers of well-being. So maybe this is eating your lunch in a park or going for a 10-minute walk around your neighborhood. And then, of course, adding supplements to your routine. So I'm going to go through a list of our favorite ingredients at VitaminLab to help support the stress response. So the first of which is rhodiola. So this is one of our favorites here. So rhodiola is a herb that grows in mountainous Arctic regions, and this has been used for thousands of years by Russian and Scandinavian people to support mental health. So rhodiola is an adaptogen, which means it increases your body's physical and mental resistance to stress. So there was a study in 2016 that looked at the effects of rhodiola supplementation on 118 participants between the ages of 24 and 40. They recorded their perceived stress before and after supplementing. So regardless of age, gender, occupation, socioeconomic status, rhodiola was shown to reduce perceived stress and workplace burnout in all groups. So this effect was most prominent after 1 week of supplementation, but continued for the duration of the usage. So in this study, participants took 400 milligrams daily of rhodiola to help combat their stress and burnout. So after the presentation, like I said, I will send everyone a copy, so no need to make notes on dosages or names. I'll send that all afterwards. So our next one, lemon balm. So this is a herb from the mint family, and it's been used as far back as the Middle Ages to help with stress and anxiety. So lemon balm can help reduce perceived stress by reducing the symptoms of restlessness, nervousness, and excitability. And it does this by lowering cortisol levels. So taking lemon balm daily with food, about 300 milligrams, especially in times of acute stressors, can help with that stress response. So next up, we have our magnesium. So magnesium plays a role in the HPA axis. So this stands for hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Big fancy word for the system that mediates your stressors. So magnesium also plays a role in serotonin and GABA production. Both of these are really important in regulating stress and anxiety. So signs of low magnesium are low stress tolerance, irritability, anxiety, depression. So supplementing here can help improve all of those symptoms. So magnesium in the form of glycinate is one of the easiest forms for the body to absorb, and it has the most research when it comes to stress and mental health. So depending on how extreme the symptoms are, a regular dose of 180 to 250 milligrams daily would be really beneficial here. This is also advised to pair with vitamin B6 to help with its absorption and effectiveness. So about 45% of the American population is actually deficient in magnesium, and over 60% are not getting the daily recommended amount. So supplementation can be really, really beneficial here. So next up, we have another one of our adaptogenic herbs. This is ashwagandha. So this is derived from evergreen shrubs in Asia. So ashwagandha appears to help control the cortisol production and helps reduce the activity in the HPA axis, again, the system that regulates the stressors. So there's a small study that looked at 58 participants, and they looked at serum cortisol levels and perceived stress in those who supplemented with either 250, 600, 250 milligrams, 600 milligrams, or a placebo. So those who supplemented for at least 8 weeks had a reduction in their perceived stress, their serum cortisol, and then an increase in their sleep quality as well. So supplementing with ashwagandha can be really beneficial in those with depression and anxiety as a result of stress. And the studies were showing 600 milligrams can be beneficial here. So the ashwagandha that we use at VitaminLab is sensoral ashwagandha. So this takes all parts of the plant, not just the root that you see in typical ashwagandha, and is about 2.5 times more potent than your regular ashwagandha. So just keep this in mind when looking at your dose. In terms of like this study, the 250 to 600 milligrams would be equivalent to 105 to 250 milligrams of sensoral ashwagandha. So next up, we have our Panax ginseng or red Korean ginseng. Again, this is an adaptogenic herb known for its anti-stress and anti-inflammatory properties. So it helps the body adapt to and then reduce physiological stress. So it also eases other stress-related disorders like mild anxiety and depression. And it does this by regulating the stress hormones that are released from the adrenals and then helping the body return to homeostasis after a stress response. So 150 to 200 milligrams daily would be really beneficial here. Something to keep in mind if you are sensitive to caffeine, this may be one you want to avoid. It does have some stimulant-like effects. And then lastly, we have zinc. So zinc is an essential trace mineral that plays an important role in the stress response. But it does this by stabilizing cortisol levels, and it's been shown to even reduce the overall cortisol secretion as well. So chronic stress depletes the body of zinc. And because zinc has no special storage system in the body, it's important to maintain those levels with regular supplementation. Deficiency of zinc is linked to inflammation, which we know can lead to a variety of different health concerns. So daily supplementation of 25 to 30 milligrams can help keep those levels balanced. Just a quick little summary of our ingredients and the doses we went over. Like I said, I will, of course, send you all of this information, but I am always curious to know which of these ingredients you found most interesting or you feel you learned the most about. So I'll pop another question up here. Awesome, lots of our herbs. Yeah, ginseng seemed to be the most popular. Yeah, lots of herbs. All right. Well, as a thank you for joining me in today's presentation, I'd love to offer all of you one free ingredient that we spoke about today. As always, our team of registered nutritionists at VitaminLab are happy to work with you to see which ingredient might be the best fit for you or how we can modify your formula to help support your health goals. I'm going to direct you all to our booking link after this call. You're welcome to book a complimentary consultation with one of our nutritionists if you just have questions about your current formula or just ways that we can support your health goals. You're welcome to book a call. Awesome. So we do have a few moments for some questions. So if anybody has questions they want to pop in the box there, I can go ahead and answer those for you. All right, so I do have one question here, and it says, how do I know which ones I need? So different ingredients address different areas. Like I said, some of them help reduce the cortisol secretion or the cortisol production, like zinc and magnesium, whereas others may actually help support your mental and physiological tolerance to stress. So that's where those adaptogens come into play. Medication use, allergies, any intolerances can also play a role. So just more individualized approach. So booking that call with our nutritionist can help determine which one would be the best for you. And then another question here is, how long should we be taking supplements to feel an effect or before switching to a new routine? So on average, supplements take about 3 to 6 months to experience the benefits. Just takes our bodies some time to get used to absorbing and seeing these new ingredients introduced. Herbs have a different duration that they should be used for, and each herb is very different. We have a herbalist actually on our team who can also help with that, but our nutritionists can help look at your formula and see how we can modify that based on those durations. Awesome. And then here's one more. So if you have a super stressful job, which would be the best adaptogens to help you? Depends what areas you're having some trouble in. So Ashwagandha is great for sleep. I know a lot of people have trouble sleeping when they're stressed, so this would be a great one here. And then, yeah, if your cortisol levels are high, that can be found in lab work as well. There's other supplements or other herbs that you can add in there to reduce that overall cortisol. Okay. There are a few more questions here, but what I'm going to do is I will get back to everyone. I'll answer all of these questions. I'll put them all out there in an email when I send the recording of our presentation today and the PDF. After the call, you will be linked to our booking page for the registered nutritionist. You're welcome to schedule a complimentary call there, and we can always discuss your formula in more detail. Just one question that I saw come up here just before I let you go. Good idea is to submit a blood test. If you're booking a call with our nutritionist and you have lab work, that can also be really beneficial to us. Then we can look at different ways to support you based on those lab results and always modify the formulas before each refill based on the updated lab work as well. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. I will get back to everyone on their questions and check your emails for a recording of our presentation today. Thank you.